Howdy, welcome to my little workshop. I'm Doug. Hello, welcome. Welcome. Workshop slash lab, where we answer the tough questions. Like, can you nug smash roaches? It seems like you'd be able to. They're all juicy and greasy and goopy and dripping stuff. Thought I'd try and smash them. I never have. We're doing this kind of together for the first time. I've learned a few valuable lessons. I should do a video about just regular nug smashing. I was just not having any luck. And I figured out a little system, a little trick that really tripled my output. And this is not a nug smash machine. This is an industrial belt welder, but it does the job, pressure and heat. Initially I blamed that, but it really wasn't that. It was just my technique, I suppose. Smoke a blunt, so I'll be coughing my brains out.
It's just flying. That's an interesting thing. What if the wood is run?
Antique lighter, look at this thing.
Up down play. After noticing the motion being out of sync on the
So,
Chadwick
saved my roaches for a few hours. Oh boy. Open them up. No, jeez. Fucking blunts kill me every time.
Chadwick reports this to his superiors, but it seems to have fallen on deaf ears. So how did these compromises to the tender's stability?
I don't know why. I've got high hopes. My fucking friend? Not really, kind of, sort of. See if I can pick that up. Watching this show about old train wrecks, scary stuff.
Likely causing the fender to swing a bit. That extra couple of inches of flex in the separated body allowing it to lean just a bit more. The tender straightens back out of the first curve.
Just basically waking up. I was going to do this yesterday, but I got tired.
And at that very moment, the locomotive now turns left, moving parallel to the main line across the temporary tracks. Now, with the force of rushing water,
ate too much, gave myself a food coma, went to sleep for 5 hours.
The tender was thrown off the track.
How was your 9-hour nap?
Worse, the weight of the car laying into the back of it actually caused the tender to buckle. As the tender slipped, the twisting motion actually caused the chassis frame to break in half, leaving parts of the front to drag behind the toppling engine, hanging on by extra stout drawbars that couple.
Just probably enough for the first run.
There's
some cheap stems in there.
Hanging off the back of the wrecked engine.
Now I'm going to use my technique that I've learned doing regular nug smashing. Is I don't go for the gusto on the first try. I just do a quarter press for the first one, just to kind of shape it into something, and then you'll see. Now I'll make another one. I'll just hand tighten this down. I won't crank the crap out of it.
Having learned that very morning.
We'll see what happens. Normally at this hand pressure nothing really comes out, but it'll semi-shape the little packet.
He said that he was watching for some sort of yellow signal lamp along the track, and thinking there was a signal beginning to flank down.
Good.
There weren't any.
Good. Nothing came out. Take this,
put
it aside for a sec.
Felt that there was no need for trackside reminders and relied entirely on the memory of the engine man, and only deployed them if the speed restriction was established last minute. He spent most of his career working on a portion of this track owned by
I never really got into concentrates. Oddly, I never did an edible either. I don't know. I never did them. I've done concentrate just when a friend at work had it or something, maybe took a dab hit, but it was just too strong. I almost didn't even like it. It throws your tolerance way off for flour.
No signals were needed for this when there was enough time for the order.
So I really haven't been in the concentrates, but I love the vapes. I love the way they taste.
which
I just
the
love that
railroad
flavor
company
of a
denied.
good vape,
In much
good
lighter words,
concentrated
investigators then called the railroad executives
vape.
morons.
You said my name like those facts. You need a hard time understanding your inspector. You listen when you temper away. I get it. It's frustrating. You go to class expecting answers only to walk away with more questions. Here's your text.
Fitzsimmons looked out the window of his train looking for some sort of signal for when to begin slowing down, as the instructions on the general order were quite vague. And all the while he was speeding closer and closer to the turnoff. While it's impossible to know exactly what happened, some educated guesses can be made based on the evidence and certain known parameters.
So I'm in the process of making a device to do what I'm doing now without this contraption here. Very simple little press
Probably realized when he saw the switch
to make these little nug lumps. I don't know what to call them.
and reached for the brake. Fitzsimmons cuts the throttle and throws on the air brake. The brakes begin to grab almost immediately in the locomotive, but it takes time for the air pressure to evacuate the rest of the car. As much as 3 to 5 seconds for the last car, depending on circumstance. That meant that for a few moments, while the locomotive and tender is slowing down, the back of the train is still
Part-Time Explorer, super good channel. One of the best channels on YouTube.
one another against the tender and locomotive as the flaps run in. The locomotive enters the first curve, and while it might be rocked,
Oddly, there's been like 3 episodes, maybe even 4, where they're in places that my best friend, when he kind of like went across country, he was at all these places. I don't know if he was at these specific sites though, these abandoned mining towns and stuff like that. They're all places he was, like Butte, Montana, Needles, Wyoming, and all this stuff.
Pushes it further out in that same direction. The locomotive now pulls the tender to the left, while the car pushes
Usually don't
to the
smoke
right.
blunts, but
Frame brake.
the weed's so sticky it doesn't want to smoke regular joint-wise.
Just before the locomotive tops over. The coal bunker and water cistern body still attached to the
Do
back
one more.
of the frame.
Perfect.
And was pushed down the embankment by the first car.
No resin. Yep, we're clean.
We'll
We'll do one more.
The violent derailing of the tender
Make one of these little pucks. Pucks, that's a good name for them. Little pucks.
coming to rest more or less parallel.
I'm going to make a puck forming machine. I started last night, but I was struggling. I screwed up. I used something so hard I couldn't cut a drill through it. I didn't realize it was freaking high carbon tool steel. I didn't notice that when I started. So I broke my 3rd drill bit. I'm like, wait a minute. I didn't even put it down. I tried to put a center punch in there for a drill, center guide. Flattened out like four of them, trying to pound a dimple into this thing. Just all it did was smash the tool. I got like 4 dull punches. The tip bent over because the thing was frigging tough. I don't know how you could dimple higher carbon steel. When you drill something, you put that dimple in there to keep your drill bits straight. I couldn't. I tried everything I had. All I was doing was bending everything. It was breaking or bending.
The right side of car 3 slams hard against the concrete above it, smashing open the back side wall. The 4th car then slams into the concrete too, getting thrown upward and tearing along the side of the 3rd car.
Last one.
Where most of the casualties were.
Nasty.
The impact of the 4th car knocked the 3rd car onto
Have to be more. Have to be juicier, but these were early picks when I was picking my stuff a little too soon. They look like they're over mature.
Car 6 slides off the trestle and slams harder into car 3, pushing it farther down the embankment. Car 6 comes to an abrupt stop, bearing the crushing weight of the rest of the train behind it, and wedging itself on the concrete wall, bringing the whole train to a complete stop and buckling in place. The front of the 7th car dangles above Legion Place.
It may be a little too hot.
Smashed by the
It's more than 120.
against car
I'm going to build a little desktop cannon too.
The remaining 3 passengers
I had no trouble drilling all the way through this.
are mostly spared of
All the way to here. Just pretty far. No problem. This other thing, I couldn't do it. It would not go. Hope I didn't screw up my touch-off hole.
The turnpike construction project was
Maybe go a little bigger, I'm not sure yet. It's all about the cannonball sizes. I don't want to go a size that I can't get ammo for.
The main line still spans Legion Place. Even the same catenary pole suspends the electrical line above the track. What's incredible is that as we're walking around the wreck site today, there are still scars on what remains. You can see
I do this same thing when I'm smashing regular nug too.
Broke it off.
I'm just going to use a new piece of wax paper.
More concrete right on top. The cracks of that seam between the original concrete and the replacement concrete are still visible. And then right here, where the tender came to rest, you can actually see the difference between the new and the old concrete, and even a crack right here. And looking at aerial photographs, we know for sure that it is this spot because we can line it up relative to the house of the broke. John Ryan is lucky. He survived the wreck mostly uninjured.
Take the little pucks, and I'll do this with regular nugs. I had the best presses with the most results doing it this way, stacking these pucks on top of each other the best you can. Running them that way. Is that a dog here?
John had several connections to the wreck, not only himself. His future father-in-law was a club car that survived, and his wife's friend's brother was on board too, but was killed.
Normally it wouldn't be a bunch of crumbs, it'd be just perfect pucks.
I find a young couple used to sit on the train on the other side of the aisle, and of course it would happen. Never, but
You can do this with a hair straightener too.
Every night it would be in the same spot.
It's tough to get the pressure needed, but you don't really need a super lot of pressure, believe it or not. I thought I was going to make a 100-ton press for doing this, and all it was doing was pressing like all the fats and greases out. It wasn't even working. It was so powerful. It was pressing out everything. You don't want that. But yeah, hair straightener. Grab your girl's hair straightener. That'll work. Just don't let her find that. I'm going to actually tighten it. How is this not the right one?
Oh,
That's interesting.
that's roaches.
I can't believe that it was sitting down there right next to it like it was the right wrench.
This is my mom.
72 years later, John realized that the young couple that he saw on the train almost every day was the family's friend's brother, tying the disaster even closer. Victor Venturino and his girlfriend Beverly Ward were the young couple that John saw nearly every day. Their friends stayed on the platform in Newark, but those two boarded anyway, so as not to worry their family. Neither of them
I pretty much go till it stops.
The Pennsylvania Railroad ultimately ended up paying out
Believe it.
around $13 million in settlements against
It hard stops. It's not even too hard to tell if you're bottomed out, but
$4 million today.
hope I didn't miss.
The investigation made multiple recommendations to the Pennsylvania Railroad, most notably on the way orders were communicated and signaled. Initially, they rejected
Couple
them,
minutes.
almost humorously. Every other
Yep, this is the
railroad
same method I use with regular fresh flour.
finally accepted.
I've had much better luck making little pucks and then stacking the little pucks. And I believe it's because this isn't really flat enough. It's not really meant to be perfectly flat. There's a little space in there, and that was killing me.
That may be true.
I'm curious. I have not done this with roaches. Should be interesting.
The broker was speeding as he hit the curb, and he was the man at the throttle. There's no getting around that simple fact.
By all accounts, Joe was extremely ill-written. He really believed deep down that the accident was not his fault. And that's one of the reasons he felt so bad about it was that before God said it wasn't his fault. He never stuck up to anything. And John kind of tried to spend most nights crying himself to sleep. It was something that he never really seemed to get over.
Fitzsimmons was permanently disabled by the crash and retired early.
Joseph Timmons, I knew him when I was probably about 8 or 9 years old. We're kind of like, kind of mope around. That's what I remember. Joseph around. You know, he'd be like...
Where's my putty scraper? I need something dull, blunt-nosed to scrape it off the wax paper, and I can't find my special tool.
After 25 years later, he's buried together with his first wife, who had a heart attack prior to the crash, which was on his mind, and a second one as a result of the stress that it caused the family. Fitzsimmons became a widow 6 years after the accident, almost to the day.
Want a light sunset last? Try Downy Light. No heavy perfumes or dyes. It's a long-lasting scent that everyone can enjoy. Even new. Get a light scent that lasts. No heavy perfumes or dyes.
On the one-year anniversary of the disaster, a passing train dropped 85 roses on the spot, one for each victim of the crash. As the years passed, Woodbridge resident Frank LaPenta realized that the story of the train wreck was fading, and he wanted to do something to preserve it. In 1993, he organized a panel discussion with the help of the Historical Association of Woodbridge Township, a group that he was an early member of, to record the stories of those who were there that night in 1951. In the following years, with the 50th anniversary then approaching, Frank and his wife Audrey, along with the Historical Association, Reverend David Houston of the First Methodist Church of Woodbridge, and Woodbridge Councilman Charles Kenny spearheaded an effort to erect a bronze plaque near Woodbridge train station that was financed by New Jersey Transit. In 2001, the plaque was unveiled.
Oh, there it is.
An interpretive marker was eventually put up in 2013 in downtown Woodbridge, this one with pictures and more of the history. And finally, a third marker placed by the Historic Preservation Commission of Woodbridge Township right at the site of the disaster.
Yeah, I love these vapes. It tastes amazing. There's something about this stuff, I love it. The taste is just to die for. I don't know why I love it so, but I do.
Very much for coming out. Thanks for allowing me to be part of
Gordon's book is a culmination of years of research and collecting first-hand stories, going into incredible detail.
Yes, it's not designed for this.
Respect. Going through 2 editions now, it includes many photographs, some rare, and is a must-have for anyone interested in railroad.
Oh yeah, that's dark. That's dark. That's the darkest I've had yet. And that's a combination of probably the roaches and the temperature's way too high.
And my buddy Alex Mulder were bringing it to life.
Now, the tough part, try to scrape this shit off, not ripping the paper.
Woodbridge Township worked with the Roker Memorial and assisted with this documentary. It's just a small portion of their many efforts to preserve Woodbridge history.
It does come off really easy, pretty much. It's weird. It's really weird. Oh, it just comes right off. It has never been this dark. This is the darkest I've had so far to date. But I can smell it. It smells just like the vape. It smells really, really, really good. That was a pretty good turnout. I was not expecting that much. Especially from already smoked, you know. Plus I got a cold from snowballing last week. Freaking 6 feet of snow, it just would not stop snowing. Okay, not a bad yield. More than I was expecting. You could put that in a dab rig. I wipe it on sometimes, just wipe it on a bowl or wipe it on a joint. I don't have a dab rig. Maybe I should get one. Yeah, that works surprisingly well. Better than I even thought it was gonna. I've literally, swear to God, I've never once pressed a roach before. Let's see if we can get a second press. Sometimes I can, when they're in this pressed, they press again really well, because these are so perfect for pressing. Try.
Mankind Media, Nathan Gutierrez, Zach Cunningham, David Littlejohn, Sean Stockton Fraser, Nikki Chan 92, Corbin McDonald, Matthew Burns, Goblin of the Salt Lake, Luke Stevens, Gordon Robbins, Aaron Stark, Troy Lenworth, Clark E., Sam Porter, Cindy B.
Goblin of the Assault Planes? What? Where'd you come over?
You know that feeling of having to rewash dishes that didn't get clean?
I don't want a plus the cat keeps best clean ever. Double the Dawn and double the scrubbers. It removes the toughest grease and residue for an irresistible clean and shine. Captain Platinum Plus. There's the dish differently.
Why are you not cooperating? It's never happened before. These are hot.
It's remote. It's empty. And it's sitting high up on the top of the mountain.
Yeah, this thing's running hot. There is a way to turn it down to try and lower the temperature because it's clearly too hot.
A sprawling hillside. Now what we're wanting to do
Doesn't take a lot. I think it's only 120 degrees is recommended for
come
pressing.
along and explore the ruins of this old mining town.
This is much more than that.
Montana, and at its height was the largest producer of
Again, you don't really want to crank the holy hell out of it because you'll literally be pushing the chlorophyll right out of the thing. You don't want that. The fats and amino acids and stuff don't smoke good, don't taste good. This is probably like 2,000 pounds or less. Part-time Explorer. It's probably one of the best channels on YouTube.
Granite was founded at the top of the mountain. Down at the foot of that same mountain was the already
200
thriving
watts.
all-mining town of Phillipsburg.
110
Phillipsburg was
volts.
founded in 1866, started as a mining town and trade growing
2003.
rapidly to more than 1,500
20 years
by the
old.
end of the 1860s. The
Let's
population
see what our
was
second press does. We'll let this one go a bit longer.
around 1869, but come 1871, the population was slowly rising again. It was then, in 1871, that Phillipsburg residents
Tastes
Eli
amazing.
Holland and James Hill were out hunting in the hills above the town. They shot a buck deer, and as it struggled, they kicked up rocks and dirt. Some of these rocks had noticeable signs of silver in them. They brought them back to Phillipsburg to be surveyed and found that the ore was very rich. Holland then dug a shaft around the claim and collected additional samples. Local working the site with his friends until about
It's one of the best cannabis products I've ever had. I love that. I love them vapes. Because they don't smell like you could smoke them in the supermarket. Smoke that thing in church. Nobody will know.
Potential for hilltop mine site beyond what Holland had done with it. He found in Holland
Strong. I can feel it. Can literally feel the hit going through my system like a shot of schnapps.
Making it one of the richest strikes in the area. He entered into a business partnership
Coffee doing I'll be right back.
Clark, bought up the rights to the mining rights and established the Granite Mountain Mining Company. They sought outside investments and raised $10 million from investors around St. Louis, or over $250 million today. This is obviously no small amount of money, but it was a matter of being in the right place at the right time and being the right people. Charles McClure was already successful with his work in Phillipsburg, and many of the Phillipsburg team had already struck it rich with Nevada's Comstock lode. Silver was a hot commodity in the 1870s, with investors back east itching to get a stake in Western silver production. Between 1880 and 1882, the mining company poured money into the development of the site and was sinking mine shafts. From the start, one of the biggest challenges that the mining company faced was the physical climb up the mountain from nearby Phillipsburg, which they were using as a base camp. A road was built, but all that equipment needed to be hauled up by large horse teams. Crew that weren't camping on the site had to walk up and down the mountain each day for work. Depending on which route they took, it could be anywhere from 3 to 5 miles up a steep mountain through rugged terrain. It was terribly exhausting and led to the story that I'm about to tell you, one of the most painful incredible mining stories you've ever heard. It's the story of a man named McIntyre who ran a dig team that was hired to sink a shaft 50 feet deep at the top of
But he only dug the shaft 49 and 3/4 feet deep, so they didn't pay the man.
He hauled his team and equipment up that mountain, already worn out by the time they got up there, and they dug the shaft. It's unclear how long the digging took, but once the job was completed, McIntyre packed everything up and had his team haul it all the way back down the mountain, still in dirt. They were absolutely beat and sick of that mountain. When the mining company looked over the shaft, it was found to be a foot short of the 50 feet required.
Alright, let's see how our second press did. What is that?
Instead of bringing his
It should not be
back
there.
up the mountain to
That's why I probably didn't want to lock up. Something broke. That shouldn't be there.
In those 49 feet, they didn't find
Yeah,
any
not too much in the second press, except whatever it did. It broke through. The paper ripped. I pressed too hard, and it all leaked out, which happens sometimes. We could still get it off there too.
Even though additional mine chutes had been dug by other teams. Of the $10 million
Easier to get off of here.
already spent without
It's like a liquid.
the investors in St. Louis sent McClure a telegram telling them to shut the mine down.
To clean this up.
But on its last day of operation,
Yeah, smashing roaches.
in fact, on
Nug
the
smashing
last
roaches. I think the second press would have been had good results if it didn't rip the paper.
installation and mining continued.
That usually doesn't happen.
Instead of
And
hauling everyone and everything back up the mountain, and
one of these holes did it. I didn't realize those were even in there. I
McIntyre
never saw them before. They've never been a problem. There's actually something a metal plate I can put in there to cover those if they're going to continue to be an issue. There's a thermostat hole.
No word on how McIntyre was doing when we found that out.
But
Someone really should check on that. Another similar story goes that a horse
try to.
Big Slim had stock in the mine.
Not
And
big
the day
soon.
before Silver was found was so fed up with the operation. While drinking in a bar in Phillipsburg, he called out that if he had the money to buy a horse, he would pack up and leave town. The bartender offered to trade his own horse for Big Slim's stock in the mine, and Big Slim agreed, and off he went with the horse. A few weeks later, after the silver was struck, the horse was sold that stock for $40,000 or over $400,000.
No, well. Yeah, I'll turn the temperature down on that at some point. I'm going to clean that up real well. Anyway, yeah, I thought I'd try it, see how it went. Not bad, actually. I never seen another video of anybody doing that. Dog smashing roaches. Anyway, thanks for hanging with your doggy. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.